So prices had peaked in 2006, 7, 8, and then completely came falling down. And last year, so when we were actually at Family Reunion in New Orleans in February, we learned that the median home price of $222,000 nationally had been matched with 2007. So we were actually at the same exact price. And since then, they've input some more data, and we are now, across America, the highest prices we've ever been. However, I'm just curious, in your own markets, is that what you guys are experiencing? I'm just curious, I really don't know. Have you looked back to 2007? Is in your market, is it higher now than 2007?
Not yet.
Not yet, but pretty close, right?
Yeah, pretty close, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I saw when I was looking at this slide. It was like, it's definitely there. It's getting very close to it.
And what he says is, if you look back at 07,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go to 08, 09, and what happened, we were at the height, right, in 07, and here we are again at the height. So what happens when you're at the height?
It goes down.
It goes down.
What causes
We'll
that?
get
Why
there.
does it have
We'll
to
get
happen?
There's different reasons for that. It's cyclical.
I'm gonna get into
You're gonna
it.
get that,
Yes.
right.
It's like 3 slides away. So
Oh,
you have to
3
be
slides.
patient.
Jumped ahead.
But let's make our way towards that direction. So finance-wise, the lowest finance rates we ever had was in 2013. So for anyone in the market at that time, when the rates dropped, the market became a frenzy. People wanting to borrow cheap money from the banks to get into their house. That has caused the market to continue trending upward over the last couple of years. And it's actually flirting with that price again of 3.35% right now. Just keep that in mind. Affordability. So affordability is still declining. Why is that? If the money is actually getting cheaper, why are things becoming less affordable? Inflation.
There's not enough housing and there's prices going up.
Yeah, so you guys are all right. So the prices have continued to go up. So even with cheap money, things are still becoming less affordable. So something.
Based on their income and
Well,
expenses.
people aren't making as much money anymore.
So in 2015, wages increased by 2.2%, and in 2015, the housing market increased by 6.8% nationally. There's a 4.6% disparity between that, which would directly contribute to this, causing affordability to continue going down. So now, Doug,
Thank you very much.
where are we right now? Raise your hand if you think we're at the top. Raise your hand if you think we're in the downturn. Raise your hand if you think we're in a recovery.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was gonna say go to a different brokerage. So per Gary Keller, we're actually at the top. And as much as we want to educate you guys that, oh, it may come down next month or in a couple months, he said there's nothing indicating time-wise of like how long we're gonna be here. So it could be anywhere from happening very soon to like a couple years from now. But the indicators that he uses are these downturn indicators, and they're all suggesting that we are heading full-fledged into a shift. So days on market has started to go up. Have you guys
Mhm.
been noticing that out on the MLS? Things are just sitting a little bit longer, which causes inventory to go up as people continue to list their houses. And then once they're sitting on the market for a long time, what do?
Lower the price.
Reduce the price, so prices will begin to come down. And then sales, this one's pretty interesting to me. I was putting myself in a seller's shoes, and obviously we're all real estate savvy. So imagine like the market is going down and you know that markets are cyclical, wouldn't you be incentivized if you didn't have to move to just ride it out until it was higher again? That was my thought when I saw that. So it's just something we all need to think about. We definitely need to continue capitalizing on our business as we have it right now, because things can become difficult in a downturn. But as Debbie mentioned, it's really an opportunity for us. A lot of agents will actually leave the industry during that time. And if you're capturing market share, let's say you, in your market, you own 5% of the market and the market has gone down. As that market comes up again, if you're able to maintain that 5%, what it means for you is more deals, if that makes sense. Yes?
And just since I've lived through that.
Yeah.
From eating a lot of filet mignon to nothing. From a sales perspective, what happened was, and this was before Gary did the book shift, the ones who saw opportunities started to focus on those groups of people who didn't have the ability to just sit and wait it out. They had
Yes.
to, i.e. divorces, moving, things like that.
Yes.
And the agents who did the most bang up business, they focused on who needed to do it right now. I don't have time to be lunching, munching, playing with you. Who has to go, they don't have an option. And that's where the perspective changed for a lot of
So we'll start,
Definitely.
and as we start teaching in September, we'll start teaching all the shifts and all that stuff, and we'll start getting you ways of thinking outside the box of how to go after the business, that's urgency, right?
Definitely. And you touched upon divorce. I'm gonna tie that back in a weird little way.
That high,
Okay.
low.
So, and I don't mean, this is just per Gary, so.
No.
Mahogany is our tech person, so.
No.
Yes, she is.
Motion.
Between Taryn and Mahogany, they are the tech experts.
Tech experts.
So these are just like what is happening in the technology industry as a whole. And I'm not, am I stealing this from you? No, okay, cool. We're good, we're gonna keep going with it then. So predictive analytics, what is that? It's increased accuracy of leads for higher conversion rates. So like who is most likely to sell? This is where I was gonna like plug in the divorce thing.
and, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's like, if there's like newlywed couple just bought a house and right next door is couple going through a divorce, and which they had to file publicly with the county.
Yeah.
This whole industry of predictive analytics is growing. So like who is just more likely to maybe sell out of those two? So like where would you want to focus your time? So that industry is continuing to grow. Number two, artificial intelligence. Very bad movie made like 10 years ago. Systems, it's systems that perform tasks that normally require human intelligence.
So that's a donation.
Like,
It's a money out. I'll hold on to it. So they brought up a couple different things, like a Roomba, that little vacuum that like goes around, animals sit on it and stuff. And then something like Watson. Do any of you watch Jeopardy? Or have you watched Jeopardy? That computer that's like the smartest computer out there. Gary spoke of a scenario where it actually, there was a woman in Japan that had some sort of leukemia, and they just typed her symptoms into Watson, and it went through all these medical files and told her exactly what she had, and they were able to cure it.
wow.
So like, just as a technology, just another trend in technology right now. Upstream, does anyone know what upstream is? So it's kind of, how many are familiar with like Expedia, Travelocity, Orbit? Now who knows about Kayak? What does Kayak do? So it pulls all that data. So if I'm looking for a cool hotel in Vegas and I type in my price range, it's gonna pull from Expedia, Travelocity, Orbitz, all of those. It's like a one-stop shop. So in our industry where this is important, is we used to have like, or we still do, Keller Williams listing system, where we put it in and it pushes out to Zillow, Trulia, all that. Upstream is going to be even bigger than that. And Gary's encouraging us to fully endorse it when it is at our doorstep. So it's not it's still in like the process, it sounds like, of being,
They're still building, but it's
Yeah.
coming.
it's coming, so it's
Like a
gonna
freight
push to
train.
the MLS, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all those avenues, and we're gonna get to choose which ones. It's like turning on the music of the Oscars over here. All right, so number 4, this is my last slide, so don't worry, response times. Instantaneous response times. So, anyone think they know what this might mean for us?
Responding to your clients.
Call
Yeah,
back
so it's
right
like
away.
people want stuff so fast. These dang millennials have come in and they just want everything instantaneously.
of the response times?
I have
it
it.
on my phone.
Yeah, so it's like basically at one point in time, expectations of responses were like
24
reasonable,
hours.
and now it's like, you don't respond in 30 seconds, you're a bad agent. So, instantaneous response time could be like you're on a website and something pops up, hey, how can I help you? And you like say, oh, actually I'm looking for a house. And like, you're in the new Jason Bourne movie, and it responds automatically to them, like, oh, just what's your criteria? So it can be some sort of an algorithm to like extract information from them, and then on your time you follow up with that. It's just what's happening in our industry. People are becoming more interested in it.
I'll give you this
Yes.
was interesting, because you guys should pay attention to this. Glasses.
Yes, yes.
You don't need to see the graph, we could just kind of quickly go over it. Response times. Was it on your sheet that you sent? Was it a slide you had?
I did not send the slide, but
I
if
must have had it on my.
you could like download this
Okay,
presentation.
so the long and short of it is they had two different sides. One was how many people are responding, and the other was time.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and so there was,
Like not a lot of agents even like respond. to
so, and then the categories were, it was online.
Yeah,
right, it was
online leads.
Emails, phone
Yes.
calls, text message,
that's
so
what we
4
said.
things. The online leads, they said only 45% of the people responded. What does that mean to you? 45% of you are not responding to online leads.
You don't want the
It's
business
actually
anymore.
more than that.
That's not us. We're actually here in this room.
Yeah.
That is a lot of lost
And
opportunities.
out
other
of
people.
those 45%, it took them like, how long, 30 minutes to respond.
I think even longer. Yeah, it was like.
But,
yeah.
but what they're saying now is if you don't respond in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
they moved on to somebody else,
Yeah.
okay? And then it goes, that was online lead. Text messages, that was even surprising how long it took, but that was the shortest time of response. So if you start thinking of if you're responding to somebody, how you're gonna get a hold of them, if you can't get a hold of them on phone or email, text them. Cause it's right there always in their hand, right? Who do you know doesn't have their phone in their hand all the time nowadays? So if you're gonna be on top of it and beat everybody else, think of your response time, and if you're responding. And your Playster websites are lead generating websites. You can have leads dumping in there if you're working it and you don't even know, if you're not working it. So, when E-Edge first came out, I was helping people set up their E-Edge, and they'd have like 5 leads in there. They didn't even have a clue, all gone because they were like months old. So, we are giving you the tools, Keller Williams gives you the tools, and if you engage, it's to help your business.
Definitely. Oh, thank you. So 5th point Gary brought up was showing innovation. So this idea of instant showings, kind of on that same train of thought of like instant gratification. Imagine a scenario where a buyer wants to see a house, and they could just go to the house, put in a little code, see the house, and make an offer on the house.
Without
Like,
ever you being there.
without me ever being there. Listing agent Johnny is not there. What does that mean for us? Does this scare anybody?
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
I thought it was a little scary too. And then he went into his explanation of why this is probably not gonna take off like anytime soon. Maybe for vacant properties, he mentioned, like this could be a decent system. However, what type of an obligation do we have to our sellers?
Exactly.
seriously, what is it called? What-
Fiduciary.
Fiduciary obligation to your sellers. So that relationship with your sellers, you are always protecting them in the highest manner, protecting their house, trying to get them the highest price, intending to get them the highest price. Sorry. And something like this, buyer comes in, has their own experience, you don't even walk them through. They could steal items in the house. Like, this is just a long way off. So it's not something we should be too scared of. Like, as listing agents, we want to be there. There is an influence you will have in getting the highest price. Okay?
And they were, and you know, he kind of likened it with all the e-brokerages that are happening
Yeah.
right now. So, you know, he firmly believes that no matter how much the e-brokerages or the showing innovation is coming up with, you know, the remote showing, that it's not gonna work because you do need that relationship and you need to, they need that person there, so.
Yeah.
You know, it's even more important to show service and
Yes.
what your value to the clients.
There is a need for human connection.
Yeah.
Like, right now.
It's all relationships.
It's like we have gotten so distant from just being normal conversations that, like, when we get it, we're fulfilled by that. So definitely continue to use your humanism. And other than that, he just said, like how does that help a seller? Put yourself in the seller's shoes, and this agent comes along, yeah, and I got this great new thing, like people can get in your house anytime, so it's gonna expose it to like somebody.
Are you kidding me? You're not gonna be there tomorrow?
Yeah, I would never, ever let that happen.
No.
So, not something we should be too concerned with
Anybody
at
could
this
go
time.
put in a code I give them and
Get
bring
your
it
house.
into your house.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
You can
you
have-
know what, now, they have a similar system in the southeast, but again, we're talking about a different market, folks. We are talking, so different, but again, that works with the vacant, the bank-owned properties, it's but a small portion. And what I teach in the classes, and go back to, we're more than just HGTV, and here's a nice bedroom and bath. There's so much more that we do from the beginning of transaction to the end to hold it together. And this is just an opportunity, they can do that all day. An
Right.
opportunity for us to show the value of our true service. You can put a 10-year-old in a skateboard, they can find a cute house. Right?
Yeah.
To pick a cute house means nothing. It's bedrooms, it's bath, it's outside, it's front yard.
Mhm.
But it's the transaction
Right.
and protecting our buyer and seller through that, where our value is.
Right.
We get paid the median price.
Right.
We just have to this is an opportunity to do a better job at showing what we do is professional.
Exactly.
That it's not bravo.
Thank you, yeah. And then lastly, another growing sector is transparent offer management. I had never heard this term. Has anyone heard this term?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is not a Keller term. I know it sounds like it, right? All these like 3-letter acronyms. So it's the idea of placing an offer on a home online with or usually without an agent.
It's like an auction online.
Yeah, that's
Home
like
buys.
Hudzu.
Who
Hudzu-
bought
Hudzu.
auction.com?
Bid Select, they had that back in 2008.
Okay.
And Hudzu had that too, they would show you who had the latest offer, who's was selling.
Who bought auction.com?
Do you know?
Google. Google. I know, right? They're kind of a big deal. Google bought auction.com, so it's like the idea of there was an offer made on auction.com for $325,000 for this house. It was declined. Would you like to make an offer at $350,000? And you're like, yes, click. You know, there's definitely a lot of loopholes you could immediately think of right now. For investors, this may be a good tool, but it's just another growing sector in our industry. So thank you so much for listening to the agent portion, and then
Is that it?
yeah. So,
Okay,
yes.
so just before we go into, on the expenses of